Welcome to Anatomy and Physiology. I know you've probably heard really scary things about this course. It's not that scary. It is hard. It is definitely hard. And I sent out an intro email in terms of like the time commitment that you want to put into this course. It's not a class where you can just, give about 4 to 6 hours and expect to do really well. It is a very time consuming course because it it takes time for your brain to process the information, and it's the reiteration, going over it over and over again that helps solidify it and helps it to make sense. Okay. And if you're struggling in this class, that's learning, right? Because if you are new it, then you're really not learning anything new. And in order to learn something new, it has to be a little bit of a struggle. Okay, so if you're struggling, don't give up. It's a normal process. All right. So a little bit about myself. Okay, so in terms of communication, if you send me an email, I usually reply within like 99% of the time. I reply within 24 to 48 hours. If you don't get a response, that means something happened, whether I didn't get that email or I opened it and I forgot to reply and it got shifted down, which means I won't be able to find it again. So if you don't hear back from me within 24 to 48 hours, please just forward your email to me again. And that will bring you right up to the top. And I'll be like, oh no, I forgot. And I'll respond to you. Okay. So I don't ever ignore students. It's just sometimes it just gets down to below my emails and I just lose track of it. Okay. So if you don't hear back from me within 24 to 48 hours, please just send it to me again. If it's anything urgent, like for example, you're taking the exam and the lecture seat gets cut off or something happened and you need to contact me right away, you can definitely text and call me. Okay. So my cell phone number is listed on the syllabus. So for anything urgent, please just go ahead and text and email me. If it's 5 in the morning, I may not respond. But if you're texting or calling me within like daytime, I definitely will try to respond right away. Okay. In general, I tend to be introverted. So I put a picture of my family in here. I have a sister. She's not my twin. She looks a lot like me, but she's very chatty. So I joke and I say we're like night and day. So she's very chatty. She loves to write really elaborate email, where I'm the complete opposite. I'm very introverted, where she's very extroverted. So that does mean that sometimes when I communicate with people, my style of communication tends to be very short. It doesn't mean that I don't care. I really do care. But if you ask me a question that is respondable by yes or no, I'll probably just put yes or no. My sister would be like, how are you doing? Hope your day was fine. I love your question. And here's the answer. And here's, elaborate. If you want elaborate, then make sure you put in the email. If you're asking me a question, can you explain this? Then I will definitely elaborate out. But my style of communication, because that's just how my brain works, I tend to be very short in my replies. Okay. It does not mean I'm not there for you. I am here for you. Okay. So just email me and I will respond. Tips for this class: study groups. I can't emphasize that enough. And I have data to show that when students form study groups, they do overall in terms of content, but as well as mental health. Okay. It's good to have a group that you can talk things through. Okay. Like, how did you study? How are you managing this? How are you doing that? Study groups help. Okay. Rewriting your notes. When I did a survey on students, in terms of students who did really well in this class, how did you do so well in this class? Can you share it with the next set of students? And they all said rewriting their notes. Okay. But you do know how you study best. So if you found a way that works best for you, I would say try that out. This course is, you'll notice that at the beginning, the materials, like there's a lot of quizzes that are low stakes. That's to kind of help you figure out how you study best. So there's a little give at the beginning in terms of points where, if you don't do so well, it's okay. You still have 3/4 of the grade left to raise your grade or make up for it. But use this first few weeks to kind of figure out how do you study best for this course. Okay. Expose yourself to anatomy and physiology early and frequently. I highly recommend each week starting on Monday, even if it's just to watch the video and not even take notes or just to listen to things, that helps. Because again, remember that when we're learning things, it has to settle, you have to layer it on top of each other in the brain, and it takes time. So this is definitely not one of the classes that you want to procrastinate on. Okay. The announcements page. I always, let me show it to you. Maybe that's better. Here, let's find it. Tab. So your course canvas looks something like this. Oops, I thought I logged in already. Okay, let's go to your course. Your Canvas course looks something like this. And in the announcements page, you see that I have an announcement every single week. Okay, so let's go to this first week right here. It will kind of give you a little bit of background of the course and kind of a to-do list. Okay, so in that to-do list, it'll tell you for a lecture, these are the things you want to do. For a lab, these are the things you want to do. But in addition to that, I always put a supplemental information. Sometimes the supplemental information that I give you are part of your assignment. Other times it's just things that I highly recommend you do. So whatever is on the announcements page, I highly recommend that you check it all out. It's suggested, but it's going to make a huge difference. Okay, here, let me give you another example. Let's do another week. Let's say cytology, for example. So in cytology, your assignment is to make a video, a discussion video, okay? But I have the worksheet that I give every week, and highly recommend that you try to do those, okay? So these additional resources right here, even though they say kind of additional supplemental, you really should go through all of the materials that whatever is posted on the announcements page, okay? They are not the same as the materials that you find in the course itself, because these are things that I've made throughout the years of teaching this course that I found really helpful for you, for this class, for these students. So make sure you take a look at them, okay? And then there are also, for example, I actually did the chemistry worksheet and then I covered it in here. So you can watch it and review to see whether you did the worksheet correctly or not. Okay? Any questions?
No.
All right. So the announcements page is a very good resource to help you start each week in terms of what to do, what to watch, and so on. Okay? Then the syllabus. The syllabus is very long, but it does contain all the policies, the due dates, and the important information that you need to know for this course. Okay, so I'm a huge Star Trek fan. So read the syllabus, you must. The very wise Yoda said so we must follow. Okay, I even recommend printing it out, reading it, and highlighting the important information, such as what are the policies? How many times can you take a quiz? How many times can you take an exam? Are you allowed to submit things late? All of those questions can be found in the syllabus, okay? If you've gone through the syllabus and you cannot find the answer to that, please contact me, okay? If you contact me with a question that you can find in the syllabus, and I'm not trying to be mean or rude, but I will point you to read the syllabus first, and if you still don't understand what's written in the syllabus, then email me and I'll meet with you one-on-one to explain it, okay? But I really would like you to kind of practice using the resources that you have. In terms of content, there are 4 main units, in other words, 4 main exams. So the first unit covers introduction, chemistry, cells, tissues, and integumentary, or the skin. And at the end of those 5 chapters, you'll have a unit exam. Okay, the exam will be on the lecture content and on the lab content. Then the second unit is on skeletal, joints, muscle, and nervous. And you're probably like, oh, that looks pretty easy, right? It's only 4. No, muscles technically is 2 chapters and nervous technically is 3 chapters. So even though it seems simple, it's a really hard chapter or unit, okay? So you want to make sure you set aside enough time. And if once you go through the syllabus, I'll actually write down, this is a really difficult unit. You want to set aside more time, make sure you follow that direction, okay? So at the end of skeletal, joints, muscle, nervous, you'll have your second unit exam. And then we'll move on to the third unit, which is on the cardiovascular system, which technically is 3 chapters: blood, heart, and blood vessels, the respiratory, and digestive. And again, you're like, oh, three chapters. Not bad, right? No, it's a lot of content, okay? So don't let the names fool you. Some of them are a lot more detailed and complicated than the others, okay? But the third unit tends to be the most fun because, you know, we know what the heart looks like. It's something you can hold, you know, it's tangible, understandable, and relatable. The respiratory system also, you know, you can imagine yourself inhaling, expanding your thoracic cavity. And then everyone loves the digestive system because, you know, at least that's my favorite chapter because I love to eat. And it's interesting to understand when I eat, what happens to the food that I eat. The last unit is on the urinary, endocrine, and reproductive. Again, it looks like there's only 3, but technically there's 4. So because the reproductive includes male and female, okay? Then some resources that can guide you will be the navigational materials. Those are the optional materials at the end of each of the modules, okay? And again, those are not the same things as the materials on the announcements page, okay? And then the supplemental course videos, the worksheets, those 2 are on the announcements page. And then external resources such as Khan's Academy, Amoeba Sisters, the Complete Anatomy. It's an app. Quizlet is another very good app to use. And I think there was one more. Let me see if I can remember what that other one, because the students have brought it to me, okay? So you're probably at this point thinking, why have so many different places for different content? So you have the main Canvas modules. So these right here. So you have the content on the modules. Let's go to the first module. Okay. So in the module, you'll find the objective, the lecture content, the lab content. That is your main source of information, okay? Then you have the navigational, the optional resources. And then you also have the sources in the announcements page. So the content in the modules, this page right here, this one is made by several faculty that came together to create this course. So when we all came together, we're like, okay, here's what students must absolutely know. And that's what you'll find in the lecture component and the lab component. Then we also curated the navigational resources, which is we figured out what students struggled the most on, which is what we put here. So these resources are available for everyone, regardless of whether they're taking me as an instructor or not, okay? The materials on the announcements page are things that I've made for this class specifically, okay? So they are different from the content that you'll find on the modules. So the contents that I put in the announcements page are more kind of materials that I curated myself, having taught this course 25 years, and I continue to build on that. So that's why you have content in the module page as well as in the announcements page. Okay, questions?
So we need to check both places for the work, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Yep. And where should you go first?
To the announcements?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep. Because the announcements give you what you need to do for that week. Because sometimes you are responsible for one module, other weeks you're responsible for 2 modules. So if you start with the announcements page, that will let you know what you are responsible for that entire week.
Okay.
And then from there, you'll go to the modules, and then and that's pretty much it. Okay. Now you'll notice that there's read right here under the lecture. These are not technically reading assignments. Okay. Because all of the content that you're responsible for knowing are found in the downloadable materials and the video. The read part right here, these pages right here, they're meant for an older textbook because we adopted a newer textbook with the because it became cheaper. So we normally would have students use the older edition because it was the cheapest, and the new edition was more expensive. If you were to buy the book, it was like $250 for the textbook, the newest version. So we've been using the older version textbook, but now because we have this ebook, you know, it made the newest edition really cheap. So that's why the pages don't match. Okay. But that's okay, because these pages right here are meant to be supportive of the content in the top 2 bullets. 99% of your exam questions come from the top 2 bullets, the downloadable and the watching materials. The reading run right here, I normally tell students to think of that as supplemental. Like if there were things in the downloadable and watching material that you didn't understand, then go to the textbook, because the textbook provides a lot more examples than we put into the downloadable and watchable materials. Make sense?
Yes, and for that we'll go to course materials
For
for
the
the reading.
the reading right here.
Yeah, where do we find?
So the reading, you'll just go to that chapter of, so for example, if you were to do the reading for this one, it says the textbook pages 2 to 3, 11 to 17. They're not going to be exact anymore because we have adopted the newest edition. But what you'll find is that if you go to the chapter itself, so for example, this one right here is the chapter on the chapter 1, Introduction to Anatomy and Physiology. Okay. You don't have to do the reading materials unless there's something in the downloadable and watchable materials that you don't understand. Then you can go to the chapter. It may not be the specific, and then look up whatever you didn't understand to read those extra examples.
Okay.
So there's no specific page numbers anymore because we upgraded the textbook. But there's just topics. Like I can give you a list of topics so that you can look those up and then read more information into it. So your primary source of information will be these first 2 bullets right here. Questions?
What's the PPT?
PowerPoint.
Oh, PowerPoint. Got it.
Yes, ma'am. Yep. So you'll always have an outline, a PowerPoint, and then the script. The video goes with all of these. So what I would recommend you doing is printing out the PowerPoint, printing out the outline, downloading the PowerPoint, and downloading the script. Yep.
Oh, okay. I was confused because printing the PowerPoint would seem like a lot of pages.
Nope. You wouldn't print the PowerPoint. Yeah.
Okay.
You would print the outline. Yep.
Outline.
So,
okay.
Yep. What you would do is once you download the PowerPoint, you would use it to follow the video.
Got it.
And then the script has word for word what the narrator is saying in the video.
Okay, that makes good sense. Yeah, I was confused by that line there. Okay, outline.
Yeah. And then once you've studied it for the first time, then you would rewrite your notes using the outline to help you rewrite the notes. Okay?
Thanks.
Yeah. Then for the lab, I would probably print out, or if you have like an iPad that you can write on the PDF, I would either download or print out the PDF, watch the video, take notes on that PDF. Okay. Questions? All right, so let's take a look at what these look like. So the outline, here's an outline that's fully filled out for you. Oh, actually, no, it's not fully filled out because there's some other portions that from the video you can kind of put it in there. Okay. But it's mostly filled out. Okay. So that's what an outline should look like, right? And then if you go to another later module, let's go to module chemistry, for example. You'll see the PowerPoints become a little bit thinner. So that first one was really full with all the not yet. The second one is also full. Let's do week 2, cytology. So week 1's outlines are fuller, but after that, you'll see it starts to be a little bit more sparse because now we want you to do it on your own. Practice pulling out the materials from the lecture and putting it in here. Okay. But you can still see that this is still pretty filled out in terms of like under the first Roman numeral, it's about cell shape. And then of the cell shapes, you should include squamous, cuboidal, columnar. And then the second main point is the basic components of a cell, which includes the cytoplasm, and the cytoplasm includes the cytosol, cytoskeleton. So having this hierarchy of writing your notes out helps you understand how things fit together. Okay. And then as you progress even further, they become even thinner. And then we would just put the Roman numerals. And then you have to at that point, you have to learn how to pull out the main headings and then put the notes underneath. Okay. So we support you at the beginning pretty firmly. And then as we move along the course, we lessen a little bit because we're hoping that you learn how to do it yourself. Okay. But the outlines are really great to help you set up how your notes should look, because the script, let me show you the script. The script right here are pretty much paragraphs, tons and tons of paragraph, right? So if you were to try to memorize all of this, it's really hard to understand. And they're slide by slide, so it's not showing you how things are connected. And that's why you have to move from all of this content to how do you organize it in a way that makes sense. And that's what the outline helps you do. And that's part of the study strategy for this class. Okay, it's going to give you tons of information, and then you kind of, by rewriting your notes, you have to figure out how they fit with each other, because that's when you truly go from trying to memorize everything to it just making sense. Okay, so that's the goal for this course. Questions? Okay. Yeah, just it takes time. Give yourself grace. If it seems kind of frustrating when you first try to put it from the script into the outline, it happens. Okay, just do it slowly and it will come. Okay. All right, so there's that. Okay, in terms of what are you graded on? Okay, your lecture, you have assignments. This takes up 10%. And sometimes the students are really, really happy with the assignments. Sometimes they're not. But let me tell you, the overall benefit of it is that it removes 10% out of what would have been exam points into points that are more easily to do. Okay, because before we had all 100% of the points on quizzes and exams. So the assignments take away some of that. And the assignments are things that you would be doing anyways if you were studying for this course. Okay, so that's one way to view, regardless of how you view the assignments, they're good at least for that, is that they will help you study at the same time kind of direct your study, at the same time help to shift the points to more easily earnable points. Okay. There are 11 assignments. One, whatever the lowest one is, dropped. So if, let's say, you got sick or you forgot an assignment, no sweat. One assignment is automatically dropped. Okay. You don't want to use that drop really early on and then something happens and you need it later on. Okay. So just try to do all the assignments as much as you can. And at the end, if you've gotten all your assignments, all perfect scores, then you don't have to even do the last one. Okay. So try to save your drop for as late as you can. Now, the assignments are really nice because the purpose of the assignments is to help you study, which means that there's really no point in having you do it once and whatever grade you get is it, right? So for the assignments, I'm very flexible about the assignments. You can redo your assignments. So I'll grade them. And if you didn't get a perfect score, look at it. What did you get wrong? Fix it, submit it again. I will regrade them. Okay. So the assignments are regradable. So because really the purpose of that, I just want you to learn. Okay. So, and part of learning is making mistakes. So if you make mistakes, that's completely fine. This is where you want to make your mistakes so that you can figure it out now and fix it. Okay. So that's what the assignments are for. Then you have the lecture quizzes. There are 11 lecture quizzes. I also dropped the lowest one. So again, same thing. If something happens one week and you just couldn't take it, no sweat. I dropped the lowest one. Okay. The lecture quizzes are open all week long from Monday until Sunday, which means that if you miss it, there is no retake, no remakes. Okay. After the deadline, because they are open the full week. So let's say Sunday comes along and something major happened. Okay. I'm like, well, you had all week to take it. Right. So that's why we're really strict about the deadline for the lecture quizzes. The lecture quizzes you can take twice. Okay. So take it once to kind of see how you did. You can't see the answers to them, but you should be able to see your scores. And if your score is really low, maybe that's a message to kind of go back and restudy the content so that you can do a little bit better on the second one. Okay. The questions may not be the same. It's randomized. So I don't even know what questions you'll get. Okay. But you are allowed 2 attempts on the lecture quizzes. Once everyone has finished taking the lecture quizzes by the deadline, I do release the answers. So you can see how you did on them, what question, which one you got wrong, what is the right answer, so you can study them, use them as a learning tool. Okay. So the lecture quizzes really kind of reflect what are you learning, what have you not learned, and how can you improve? Because when it actually matters, which is on the exam, that's when you want to make sure you figure all of that out. Okay. You have 4 exams. The exam 1 and 2 and 3 have 50 questions. They're 10% of your grade each. So you can see it's more significant, right? And then the final exam, think of the final exam as 2 exams. It's 100 questions. 50 of it is technically just exam 4, and the other 50 is on all the old stuff. Why am I doing that? Well, because when you take your boards, when you take your test for your OTA or whatever program you're in, health program, they're going to ask you this material and you're going to have to be able to recall. And that's why it's comprehensive. Okay. Then for lab, you have 11 lab quizzes. Same thing. Lowest one is dropped. You also have 2 attempts on the lab quizzes. Then the lab exams 1, 2, and 3 have 30 questions, and they're each worth 5%. So of the 2, study both. I'm not saying to study only one. Study both. But which one would you, would you want to put more effort into?
Lecture.
Yeah, because it's worth more points. It's 10% of your grade versus your lab is worth 5% of your grade. Okay. And then you have the final lab exam, which same thing. It's like a lab exam 4 and a comprehensive, because in real life you will have to be able to recall all of that stuff. Okay. Grades, my grading policy, grades will be posted within 1 week. Okay, so once everyone has taken it, so starting from the deadline, you would expect your grade within 1 week. Of course, I know that you want it earlier, and I do try to get out to you earlier. So I always try to get out within 1 to 2 days of the deadline, but sometimes some weeks become a little bit more challenging than others. Some assignments are more difficult than others to grade. Will always give me at least 1 week, okay? And anytime, any questions, ask, okay? It's my job as your instructor to answer questions that you have. So you just ask me any questions you have. All right? All right. So for the assignments, they're essentially critical skills assignments. Like I said, they're just a way to help you study as you're doing them. And there's lots of different varieties of assignments. Maybe one of these things help you study more than the others, and that's the style that you would pick up. Okay? So think of this as a sampling of different ways to study, and it's essentially exposing you to all the different ways that you can study for this class, and you find one that works best for you. Okay? So there are 7 critical study assignments for video assignments. And by the way, I did a survey of students, and some students really love the video assignments. Like they tell me that's what made them pass, and other students completely hated doing them. But either way, both groups learned. Okay? So the lowest score for these 11 assignments will be dropped. These combined assignments will be worth 10% of your grade. You can revise them. You can always revise the assignments and submit them for regrading, because the purpose of the assignments is for you to learn, okay? More than for me to assess them, okay? Is there extra credit? Yes. So from the feedback that I got a few years ago, students were like, you know what? I was short 1%, and if I had the extra credit, I would pass. And I agreed with them. So I put in extra credit, okay? So excuse me. So as a matter of fact, there are 2 extra credit opportunities. One of the extra credit opportunities is called community building, because guess what? You know how I was pushing study groups? I'm actually going to give you points for it. This community building assignment is worth 10 points total. Each time you meet with your study group or your TA or me, okay, you get 2 points. So that means if you meet 5 times over the period of this term, you get 10 points. And that's 1% of your grade. So let's say you had a 72%, which is a C minus. And for your OTA online program, it requires you to have a C in this class. That 1 extra credit by meeting with your study group 5 times throughout this period will pull you up to that C. Completely worth doing. And you should be doing this anyways. It's not freebie points, though. You have to work for them. So before you meet with your group, the TA or the professor or me, you want to create 3 of the muddiest points questions. In other words, what are you struggling with? What content do you want to cover? What questions do you have? And then during your session, ask the questions, and then after, write out the answers. And that's what you're going to email to me. Okay? In addition to that email, if you're meeting with the study group, you also need to provide proof of the meeting, so a screenshot of your Zoom session, right? Because it's a win-win situation. Not only are you getting your answers, your questions answered, but the others are also getting their questions answered. Okay, so you're cross-pollinating knowledge with each other. Everybody knows something, right? And the point is that maybe we don't know everything, but when you come together, you know, you're better together than you are separately. All right, so that's why I love this extra credit. So it's 2 points per session, maximum of 10 points. Does that mean that you should only meet each other 5 times throughout this term? Absolutely not. I have had some groups meet, they didn't even care about the extra credit. They met anyways. Okay. The other extra credit opportunity is at the end of the term or close to the end of the term. I offer this extra credit called Inequities in Science, because there is. As scientists, we always think we're non-biased because we're looking at just the facts, right? But no, that's why there are inequities in healthcare, right? Because science is biased. So for example, It could be biased in, like, if I'm making a device, a medical device, like the oximeter, you know, that device that you put in your finger and it measures the amount of oxygen that you have in your blood. I'm not sure if you know about it, but it's actually not accurate for people with darker skin. It doesn't give them an accurate reading. It actually overestimates. So people think they're fine, but their O2 levels are actually lower than what the reading is saying. And why is that? It's not because people are intentionally do that. No. It's because when they were doing the research and development, they tested mostly on people with lighter skin. So that's where the inequities. It's you know, and it's related to science. So that's that assignment, and I'll let you know more about it when we get to it. But together, it actually will boost your grade, your final grade, by 2 whole %. Okay. All right. So this is just kind of show you all of the assignments and how I grade your videos. This is the grading rubric for the video assignments. It's worth 10 points. Begin your videos with your name, date, and topic. The content, did you include all components of what's the assignment? You have to narrate it. That's worth 2 points, right? Because you have to show me that you are learning the content. So if you just have a video with without you narrating it, you automatically lose 2 points. Okay. You also have to have a visual, and the visual must be created by you. No images from your textbook, no images from online. You have to draw it out, create the model or whatever, but the visual must be originally created by you. No images from outside resources, and that's worth 2 points. And then, because this is an assignment that benefits each other, you're gonna need to watch and provide feedback on other videos, on your peers' videos. Okay. It shouldn't be generic, like, oh, you did a great job. Nice. No, I will not be giving 2 points for that. You can provide constructive feedback. Okay. For example, I thought I learned that the mitochondria produces energy instead of producing proteins. Okay. So watch their video, see if there's any mistakes in there, because they're learning this like you are. And part of learning is about making mistakes. But the point is to help each other catch it so that you can improve from it. Okay. Questions on the grading for the video assignments? So how do you do it? You can record a live video, okay, either using your cell phone, your camera, or other devices. If that's the option you go with, then you have to upload it to YouTube. Please don't upload the actual file into Canvas because it's harder for students to watch it. And if they can't watch it, they're not going to provide feedback. So you either must include the link to your YouTube that you posted onto so that students can just click on it and it will play, or you can record directly on Canvas. So when you go to the discussions, go to Canvas, it will show you this. Okay. So when you go to the discussion and then reply to that discussion, all you have to do is look for that icon that I circled in the pink, and it says upload or record media. You're going to record the media. So you will record directly onto Canvas. And that will also allow students just to click on it and will play right away. Okay. Any video assignments that is sent as a file that someone actually has to download to watch, I will not grade that. Okay. So I will not be grading any video assignments that is not either recorded directly through Canvas or uploaded to YouTube and then linked. Okay. You also have the quizzes. And we try to keep it as consistent as possible. So there's always a quiz except when you have an exam. Every week there is a quiz. Every week they are always due on Sundays by 11 p.m. Central Standard Time. Okay. They will require you to download Respondus Lockdown Browser. And if you don't know how to do that, let me know. They should not require any passwords. But if they do, it's a remnant from when we built this course like 15 years ago. If they do, the password is all lowercase anatomy. Okay. The lecture quizzes will be on the current week's lecture modules. There are 10 multiple choice questions. The lab quizzes are also on the current week's lab module or modules, and they are 10 write-in identification questions. So it'll be like, what bone is this? Or what muscle is this? And you have to type in the answer. Spelling will count. You will lose half of a point if the spelling is off. So that's why when you are preparing for your lab, not only do you have to identify, but you do have to spell it correctly. Okay, so practice your spelling and identification. For both the lecture and the lab quizzes, you have 2 attempts. There are no makeup or retakes after the deadline. There's a practice quiz that you can take anytime, as many times throughout the whole term. It's just to make sure that your computer is compatible with Respondus Lockdown. So use that first before you go in and then use up one of your attempts on the quizzes or your one attempt on the exam. That's why the practice quiz is there, okay? Overall, the quizzes are meant to be a learning tool. Don't just take them and then, oh, that's my grade. Okay, fine. No, they're meant so that you can go back in and see which one did you get wrong. Maybe it's a topic that you didn't understand and you need to review a little bit more. Okay, so use the quizzes as a learning tool. Okay, so the exams will require that you do an environmental scan. This is really important because without that environmental scan, I will not grade your exams. And if I don't grade your exams, it will change to 0, okay? It's just to make sure that there's no academic disintegrity happening, okay? So I don't ever watch your environmental scans or your videos of your exams unless you are flagged, okay? So there's a, I don't even know, it's like a software that will record you, and then if you are looking away, if it thinks that you're using your phone, or if you're looking at something else, or if you're not in the frame, that you may be doing something suspicious, and then it'll flag you. And if it flags you, I go, oh no, I watch your environmental scan. Your environmental scan shows me that there's nothing around your computer, nothing in front of you, nothing around you. Then I go, oh, okay. It doesn't matter. There was nothing around them to be used anyway. So I'm just going to say thumbs up. Okay. So the environmental scan really is meant to protect you in case you are flagged and I have to verify that no academic disintegrity happens. Okay. I will email everyone this PowerPoint, so take some time to read through them.
I have a quick question. So I need to have a camera on my laptop, correct?
Yes,
In
ma'am.
order to do that? Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
The
Yes.
other thing, I've never used this before, but it popped into my mind. I have a dog who frequently wants to sit on my lap when I'm studying. So I need to make sure that there's nothing in my environment that would distract me from the screen. Like I can't look down, I can't like pick her up and hold her. Like just any kind of movement would be unusual would be cause to get a flag.
Yes. So you will be flagged, and that's why you do the environmental scan and just show me there's nothing around you except for your puppy. And I completely approve of puppy therapy. So you can have
Yeah.
you can have her around, and if that means you have to pick her up, pet her, as long as you did a thorough environmental scan and I saw nothing, there's no paper, no book, no cell phones around you.
Okay.
Even if you get flagged, I'll be like, nope, they're fine.
Okay.
And that's why the environmental scan is so important.
Got it.
Yep. Because like I was taking an online exam and all I did was look down and it flagged me.
Oh, wow. Okay. Yeah, that could be a real problem with my dog. So I'll either put her in another building or.
No. That's what I'm saying is that you can have her with you as long as, here, let me turn on let me turn on my camera.
So the environmental scan, you're just taking a video of everything around the spot where you'll be doing your
right. So it would look something like this. Okay, so here's my table.
Okay.
Here's my lap. Nothing on my lap.
Except my dog.
Exactly. Right.
Okay.
And then at that point, even if it flags you, I'll be like, no, that's fine.
Okay.
And that, yeah, I'm not saying that you can't have, like, it's very sensitive. So even if you look like just over here, it's going to flag you.
Oh, okay. Good to know.
Yep. So that's why I'm stressing the environmental scan, because the environmental scan is going to protect you in case it does flag you.
So will we be prompted to do the scan before taking the test?
Yes,
Or-
ma'am. Yep.
Okay. Okay.
It is required. Yep.
Okay.
Yep. But let me show you an example of what sometimes students do. They just sit like this throughout the whole environmental scan.
And
Sometimes
that doesn't show you anything, huh?
it didn't show me anything. And then they get flagged. And I'm like, I'm so sorry, but I have to submit you to the committee on integrity. And then we have to go through all this. We have to review their whole video. And I'm like, this could have been, not even gotten this far as if you had just done a proper environmental scan.
Yeah.
Well, and sometimes students just do this. What did that show me? Absolutely nothing. And sometimes they'll do this. That shows me nothing, right? So I can only help you if I can indefinitely, support you and say, I saw their table, I saw their lap, they had no cell phone, no paper, no textbook. They're fine. Because I have to answer to the committee too, right? So that's why. All right. Any other questions about it? We'll talk much more about it when we get closer to exam 1 as well.
Okay.
All right. Now, here's something really, really, really important. Okay. I'm a neurodiverse learner myself. I have a TBI, a traumatic brain injury, and I sometimes require accommodations. Okay. If for any reason you require accommodations and you qualify for it, get it. Okay, so how do you get it? Contact the Student Accessibility and Accommodations. They can help you get materials. They can give you permission to have extended test taking time, which is really important sometimes because if you're like me, it takes me a long time to read and process things because of my TBI. So if that's what you need, that's what you need. So if you qualify for accommodations, please contact them because I can't give you any of these accommodations unless they write to me, okay? So here's the contact information. Contact them if you qualify. All right, so the Canvas course layout, hopefully everyone's already been on it. It has the home, the syllabus, the announcements, the module, discussions, assignments, grades, people. What's really important though is that thing that I put in the orange. You can set up a notification so that any change I make, any announcements that I release, it will either email you or text you. Even if I update your grade, it will text you or email you. Turn that on. Please turn that on so that, because sometimes there are just some things that I need to do urgently and then students don't reply for a whole week and then I can't make the change anymore. I try to help students as much as I can, but I can't do more than you, right? So just make sure that if I email you, if I contact you, you are getting the notification and that you contact me back. Okay, so to help do that, set your notifications so that you receive it. Okay. The syllabus, make sure you know that. The announcements page, I already stressed that. Preparing for exams, 1 week before the exams, I do give you a study guide. It's a very generic study guide, but it has to be because that's how your exam is. Your exam is on everything and all the questions are in there. It's just that students are so whenever you take an exam, it's 50 question exam, right? But we actually put in about 300 questions in there. So it really is everything on the exam. And then it randomizes out of those 300 what 50 you get. So when students ask me, what should I study for? And I know, I want to be as helpful as I can and say, you should focus on this topic, on this topic, on this topic. I can't, because I don't even know what questions you're going to get. I can just tell you, you need to study all of this stuff. And trust me, all of that stuff is really not a lot. If you compare to the materials that we cover on the modules, it's only like 1/4 of what is in your textbook. So really, even though it seems like a lot, it's not a lot, but you are responsible for all of the things that, of that little amount that we cover, the 1/4 of in your textbook, you have to know all of it. Okay? Questions?
Sounds good.
Okay. So for this first week, do module 1 and 2, do the discussion, and then do the quizzes. That's what the module looks like. Here's my recommendation on a weekly schedule. Monday, Tuesday, you should be printing and downloading your video PDFs and scripts. Watch the lecture videos, take notes. Wednesday, Thursday, rewrite your notes, edit them. So when you're rewriting your notes, if all you're doing is copying, you can just toss it into the photocopier, right? So when I say rewrite your notes, I mean for you to actually edit it. You know, you're transferring the content, but you're also adding pictures that help you understand, writing things in your own words, or, you know, highlighting things that you don't understand so that you can go and get additional support. Okay, like Khan's Academy or other things, or, you know, lots of programs out there that help you understand anatomy, physiology. Okay, and then complete the assignment and submit and post by Friday. Then on Friday, you're going to review the content, because 3 things to do well in this class. 1, to put the materials into your brain. And you're doing that by watching the video, by rewriting your notes, by organize it in a way that your brain can easily digest it. Everyone's seen a book, right? And everyone's seen the cliff note of the books. Which one do you remember more? The book itself or the cliff notes? The cliff notes, right? Because it summarized it for you. That's what you have to do. That's what studying is. Studying is taking all that large content and putting it away, filing it in an easy way into your brain so that you can easily recall. That's the second part of doing well in this class, is practicing your recall. Flashcards will help you do that. Doing the worksheets will help you do that. Doing cognitive maps will help you do that. And that's why active learning activities is so highly promoted in this class, or in any science class. Okay. The third thing to do well in this class is knowing the test taking strategies. And we'll go through that once we get closer to your first exam. Okay. So those are the 3 things. Study in a way that it's about studying smart and not studying hard. I can read a textbook for 20 hours and I wouldn't remember as much as if I were to summarize it in like 5 hours. Okay, so that's studying smart and not studying hard. 2, practice your recall. Just because it's in your brain doesn't mean that you can pull it out. So you have to practice pulling it out. Okay, and then the third thing is test taking strategies, which we'll get to when we get closer to the exam. Then come Saturday and Sunday, you're going to take the quizzes. Then you're going to relax before the next week starts. Questions?
You mentioned discussion. Do we have, how is the discussion post set up? Is it something we need to keep an eye on, or is it just for asking questions among ourselves as students, or?
Yes. So the discussions is part of your assignment. So it will show you, it looks like this. So here's the first discussion assignment. So it's a video discussion. Yeah. So there's directions, create a 3 to 5 minute, maximum 7-minute video. Here are the requirements. So it's very detailed. I try to be as detailed as possible.
So it's built around those assignments, and then we'll just respond to each other's work as
Yes.
in that same platform. Okay.
Yes, ma'am. Yep. Yep. Nice question, though. Other questions?
I had a question. It was kind of about our assignment for this week.
Yes.
I currently have a Mac computer and I downloaded the Microsoft Word, but it's saying, I don't know if anybody else had this issue. It was saying that editing was not compatible on my computer.
Same for me.
For you too.
Yeah.
Did you figure it out or?
No, I got a little frustrated. I was gonna go back and try to
Me
figure it out
too.
after this.
Okay. So if that happens, let me give you an alternative way of doing that.
Okay.
So let's do the assignments. And let's do the time management one, right? And then you went here. So if that happens where it's not compatible with your Microsoft Word, then what you can do is go to File. And instead of downloading it here as a Microsoft Word, you can make a copy of it because you can't edit on here because everyone has access to this. So if you edit it, then that edit is going to show for everyone else. That's why I don't let students edit the assignment. But you can make a copy of it and it'll say copy of the assignment and it'll be on your drive. Okay, so you make a copy of it. And once you make a copy of it, you can edit directly on Google Documents.
Oh, thank you. That worked.
Perfect.
Nice.
I don't know if I'm just like not tech savvy. I
Don't
was
feel bad.
trying I was trying to highlight like the boxes where you say like this time is for gray and it wouldn't let me highlight it. I don't know if it was like just a me problem or
So highlighting is one of these paint boxes. It's this one right here. Let's try it. There you go.
oh my gosh. Okay, thank you.
Yep.
I'm sorry, I missed it. Can you show me the button again?
Yes, ma'am.
I'm sorry.
That's okay. So you highlight it, and then a lot of students think that this is highlighting it because it says highlight color, but it's only going to highlight the text. If you want to highlight the box itself, you got to go to the paint box right here where it says background color, and then that will let you do it.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
Thank you.
You're
Yes.
welcome.
And then we're able to submit like the Google document to you, or do you want us to like change it to a Microsoft?
Yes, download as a Microsoft Word and then upload it as an assignment. Yep. And then that way you don't have to edit it under Microsoft Word. Yeah.
Perfect.
Okay. All right. Other questions? You see that? If you ask a question, usually someone else has the exact same question. So there's no dumb questions. Any other questions?
I think I'm good.
Okay. Well, I hope this eased your mind a little bit, helps you become a little bit more familiar with the course. And if there are questions, just send me an email. You have my email and you have my cell phone number. So, but remember, cell phone numbers are for urgent things. Okay.
Yes. Thank you so much.
All right. Take care, everyone.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.